Coming up next, I do want to get into the Jaire Alexander saga, as we dove in a little bit yesterday, but I want to dive in just a tad deeper because Brian Gutekunst had something to say about Jaire Alexander that still a day after the fact is catching my ear and really making me wonder, what is going on at the cornerback position in Green Bay, Wisconsin? We dive into that. Coming up next, it's Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week right here on ESPN Wisconsin and the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app.
More Mr. Irrelevant coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Drum roll, please.
Carbless is here with refreshing new flavors. Introducing their Tropical Bliss Variety Pack. Let the summertime flavors of blood orange, watermelon, raspberry, and grapefruit whisk you away from the winter blues. New flavors, same great Carbless perks. Every handcrafted cocktail still has 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and just 100 calories. Find the Tropical Bliss Variety Pack in store wherever Carbless is sold and enjoy your winter passport to paradise. Grab a pack today and discover why Bliss is more with Carbless.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. If you're looking for a place where you can better yourself while having a wonderful atmosphere, you have it at the Princeton Club. Strong communities, strong body, and strong mind. All it takes is one small step to start today. You will see that you have everything you need in order to achieve all of your goals. Find your better tomorrow at the Princeton Club. 8 Madison locations where you go in there, you take a tour, and you realize this is a place for me. Find more at PrincetonClub.net.
Welcome to the Chevy Lightning Round. Guess the clues to win. First team, you're up.
Powerful, commanding, unstoppable.
Silverado.
Adventurous, fun, techie.
Trailblazer.
Stylish, nimble.
Trax.
Innovative, electric.
Blazer EV.
Lightning Round champions. You've guessed all the right Chevy clues.
Wherever the year takes you, explore it together in the Chevy of your choice. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison's financial challenges need a Dane County-based bank. Starion Bank is a full-service community bank that delivers quality big bank services with a local approach. We are proud to be there for any budding entrepreneur or small businesses, helping them exceed their financial goals from banking to lending to cash management. Visit a banker at one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, or Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, taking you farther.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week, Marcus and Chris give playoff reactions on the pod. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Want to join the fastest growing home solar company in the nation and work in the fastest growing industry in the world? Everlight Solar has open positions in the Madison area and in their newly opened Milwaukee location. As Wisconsin's largest home solar company, Everlight Solar offers great opportunities to gain new skills and advance your career. Don't miss the chance to join the Everlight Solar team. Visit everlightsolar.com to apply today. Save money, save the planet, and start with Everlight Solar.
Hi, this is Lee, inviting you to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton. We got a great happy hour every day of the week from 4 o'clock to 7, and our patio during the summer is open too. If you're getting married, special occasion, a birthday, anniversary, or even a business meeting, we've got all the accommodations right here at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You work hard and sometimes you're not sure what you want to do, where you want to spend your money. I want to encourage you to come into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and say hello. It'd be a pleasure to meet you.
You're listening to Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
What's going on is a great question. It's what everybody's thinking when it comes to Packers quarterback Jaire Alexander. ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, Mr. Irrelevant with you. Presented by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. I'm Alex Strouf at the Tundra Trio in Green Bay, getting ready for the NFL Draft coming to town. Really underway. The NFL Draft obviously starts on Thursday, but the construction here is just crazy. If you're coming up to Green Bay, make sure you build in lots of time for traffic Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, because it is I don't want to call it bizarro world because it's really neat, but I mean it is another world here versus like if you're coming to a normal Packers game already. I mean fences and street closures. I mean it is crazy up here. So make sure you build in plenty of time if you're coming up to the NFL Draft later this week. All right, let's get into this because, I mean, it is a tricky one. The curious case of Jaire Alexander, the Packers all-pro corner, who the last several years has missed as many games as he's played. The best ability, known as availability, hasn't been an ability of Jaire Alexander very commonly in the past few seasons. Brian Gutekunst has mentioned he'd like to find a solution to the Jaire Alexander saga, essentially indicating that the Packers would like to trade him. They'd like to get compensation for a player they've invested a lot in. The issue is, here on April 22nd, it takes two to tango when it comes to a trade, and nobody really wants to tango when it comes to the Jaire Alexander contract. He's the fifth highest paid annually cornerback in the NFL. And that's a heavy contract to take on. And on top of that, you'd have to give up something, whether that's a fifth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, a seventh-round pick in this year's NFL Draft. Nobody pulling the trigger on that over the course of what's now become a month-long saga. When the NFL New Year opened in mid-March, that's when we thought maybe we'd see movement. He would be released, he would be traded, he'd be designated as a post-June 1st release, something. And nothing has happened as we are now just over 48 hours away from the NFL Draft beginning. Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, asked about this yesterday, and here was his response. Listen carefully. He says something I find very interesting in here.
Would you still like to have a resolution on Jaire before Thursday? And if you don't trade him before or during the draft, are you just going to keep him on the team for next season?
Yeah, we'll work through that. I don't really have any updates on Jaire. He's obviously on our roster right now. We'll see how the draft goes and then see where we are at that point.
We'll see where the draft goes, and we'll see where we are at that point. Is how Brian Gutekunst finished his remark regarding the situation around cornerback Jaire Alexander. And that phraseology, Joshy, real quick, you're the vocabulary guy. Is phraseology a word? I didn't hear Joshy, though. Let's try that one more time. Go ahead, Joshy.
I said phraseology absolutely is one, yes.
Nice. Good for me. Now, the phraseology of we'll see where we are after the draft, I find very intriguing, Joshy, because I take that one of two ways. It's either A, we hope to trade him during the draft and receive additional compensation for this year's draft, which just happens to be outside of Lambeau Field, or B, they are going to take an approach in the draft where they draft cornerbacks and say, okay, yep, we got what we needed. Time to move on from Jaire. We'll just release him. Those are it's one of two of those or maybe both of those. The way I hear, we'll see what happens during the draft and see where we're at. How do you take that specific remark? Because I find that phraseology very intriguing from Brian Gutekunst yesterday.
I think what he means is after the draft, when teams realize they may have struck out at the cornerback position, which they were trying to add to, that then teams might have more interest. There's no way I can see the Packers paying the amount it requires to keep Jaire in Green Bay, especially with all the things we've now heard, be it Tom Silverstein, be it Rob Domofsky, anyone who's basically done any sort of reporting on a source's anonymous or not, has said not only has the team decided they would prefer to move on, that as this drags out, it seems like both camps are getting more digging in their heels even more.
Yeah.
Jaire is not going to play with the Green Bay Packers for the number he's at. So either he views it as there's no one else in the NFL wants him, which I find hard to believe, and he's willing to take a pay cut, or they just release him and move on a week after the draft. It doesn't make sense for it to keep carrying on any further than that, and maybe you can try and drag this out into training camp and see if somebody gets hurt or they need someone to come in. There isn't really... I don't think it's going to matter what happens in the draft a whole lot, to be quite frank with you.
I tend to agree.
I think we've known what was going to be this result pretty much since day one, and that's the Packers are going to be forced into releasing Jaire because he is not on the field consistently enough to have any sort of guaranteed money. His next contract is going to be incentive-based, and it's going to be based on playing time and how well he plays, be it Pro Bowls or All-Pros or whatever.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And the question I want to pose for you right now, and we're going to open up the Carbless Talk and text line on this because we on Mr. Irrelevant, Joshy can attest to this, we take pride in attempting to solve the world's problems. And today the world's problem is Jaire Alexander. What should the Packers do? If you are Brian Gutekunst, what are you doing with Jaire? You keeping him on the roster? I see Chef Ed already chiming in on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube. He predicts he'll be a Packer next season. You keeping Jaire on the roster? You just releasing it, calling it a day? Or are you holding out for a trade partner? If you are Brian Gutekunst, what are you doing with Jaire Alexander? I need opinions on this. 844-770-3776 is the Carbless Talk and text line. Liz is more with Carbless. 844-770-3776. You can get us on the text line as well. 800-990-3776. On YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison, at Daily Dodge TV. I want to know what you're doing if you're Brian Gutekunst. Because, Joshy, if I am Brian Gutekunst, I'm just releasing him. I'm calling it a day. Let bygones be bygones. Let's go ahead and call it a day. I mean, we've gone through the drama. We've gone through him being disgruntled. We've gone through him being frustrated. We've gone through him being unavailable in terms of injury. I think let's just call it a day. You realize you're not going to get the compensation you need because the contract's too big. It's time to move on from Jaire Alexander, in my opinion. And that's what I would do. But that seems to me like, at least through this week, that's not what Brian Gutekunst is going to do. But I'm also not against keeping him on the roster. But if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm attacking cornerback in the draft similarly to how I attacked safety in the draft last year. They picked 3 safeties in the draft last year. 2 of them became instant contributors in Javon Bullard and Evan Williams. I just think, you know the old saying, throw bleep at a wall and see what sticks? That's how I would approach cornerback in this draft. Get a bunch of guys on rookie contracts, see if they can contribute right away. That's what they did with safety last year. Obviously dipped into the free agency pool as well with Xavier McKinney, a known commodity, a bona fide stud, and you just got to fill that second role. You feel good about your corner room to a point, right? You like what Keyshawn Nixon did for you last year. You like what Carrington Valentine's done in his 2 years. Who's next? You signed Nate Hobbs in free agency. I would draft 2 or 3 and see what happens, and I'd just move on from the Jaire situation. That's what I would do if I was Brian Gutekunst. Josh, where are you leaning right now as it stands on April 22nd as this thing has continued to drag on? Are you ready to move on, or do you say, oh, well, you know, what's the harm? He's already on our books. Let's keep him. Let's see what happens with him and just keep him on the roster. Where are you at?
I've been ready to move on, and it's not like I have anything personal against Jaire. I think both parties would be best served separating, and the best thing for Jaire is to sort of get a new place, a new atmosphere, new coaches, new teammates, and just sort of, you know, try and save the second half of his career, because playing 50% of the time in the NFL is just not something that's acceptable. It's not acceptable in terms of what your teammates think, what your coaches think, what your GMs think, and what fan bases think. I think they were better off without him, and I would try and add depth in the draft. I wouldn't over-prioritize that position, but I would think you want 1 or 2 more guys there, be it in the middle rounds to late rounds, just to sort of be a supplement to that roster and that cornerback room.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, it's a fascinating situation. Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn, if you're Brian Gutekunst, what do you do with Jaire?
I'm leaning towards just keep him. I know the dollar amounts in that make that really difficult, but I just feel like they aren't at a spot unless they spend a lot of picks on the cornerback position to be able to say, yep, you know what, this room's fine. We can just make it with what we have, where they need the bodies still. So until they have the bodies to replace him, why try and get rid of him? Because the next thing you know, he's healthy all of a sudden and he's looking really great for Seattle or something. And then you feel like an idiot.
I know none of us are accountants, but we all, obviously, especially in the offseason, as Packers fans, have a fascination with the cap, right? The salary cap. And you save, I think it's close to $13 million if you designate Jaire Alexander as a post-June 1st release. But you're not going to be able to utilize that money this year anyway, right? Free agency's all but over. I mean, there's still some intriguing names out there, but they're all over the age of 30. So we know that we know that Brian Gutekunst won't be signing any fun names on free agency anymore. So I don't see the harm in keeping him, and I'm certainly not against it. But I just think it's a distraction. It's dragged on too long. And do we know he's going to be able to play? And the answer to that is no, right? And if you get a great diagnosis or good news in terms of his rotating door of injuries this offseason, then yeah, maybe it's worth taking a shot on, because as Dave from Aaron points out on the Cardinals Talking text line, 844-770-3776, he's going to be a guy with a chip on his shoulder. Dave from Aaron says Alexander's main priority is to prove he's still elite and healthy, to maybe be picked up after 2025 with another team and a decent contract, which is a good point, right? If Jaire still wants to play, this is a prove-it year of sorts, because if he goes elsewhere, if he's just straight up released, it's likely a short-term deal. It's going to be a prove-it year. Prove you can be healthy. Prove you can still be elite. And then maybe another massive payday in store for Jaire Alexander if he's able to do those things. Plenty to dive into from Brian Gutekunst still yesterday, and plenty to dive into in regards to the NFL draft coming up just 2 days away from round one here in Green Bay. I'm live at the Tundra Trio just outside of Lambeau Field. Alex Strouf, JOSHY DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn with you. It's Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, which is presented by American Family Insurance. Coming up next, the one, the only. He's a 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. He is the co-host of Wilde and Tausch. He is the Wilde in that scenario. Jason Wilde, going to join us live on video. If you're able to, get over to YouTube, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison. You get to see Jason's handsome face and our cool setup here at the Tundra Trio just outside of Lambeau Field. We dive into all things green and gold with Jason Wilde. Coming up next, Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week on ESPN Wisconsin, the all-new ESPN Wisconsin Draft.
Mr. Irrelevant is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for Kohler Services. Well, if you think your shower is one of the ugliest in Wisconsin, upload a photo to goodkarmabrands.com/Wisconsin contest for a chance to win a free shower remodel. Yes, you heard me correctly. One lucky fan will win a free shower remodel from Kohler Services, including a design consultation, demolition, and removal of your existing shower or bath, and installation of a brand new Kohler Lugstone shower. goodkarmabrands.com/Wisconsin contest for your chance to win.
Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by Badgerland Exteriors, residential and commercial, roofing, siding, and solar. Visit BadgerlandExteriors.com to get started on your next project. Draft week is here. Which Badgers could hear their name later this week? 3, says ESPN's Matt Miller during his time on Jim, Matt, and Molly, the draft analyst on who he sees going when.
Jack Nelson, I think, has a shot at the 3rd round because the tackle class is not great after the 1st round. There's a drop-off. That could be really good news for him. I'm a Joe Huber fan. I think his versatility on the interior of the offensive line is going to be valuable, but I am a huge Hunter Wohler fan. I think any safety who hits like that, I'm going to be a fan of you. He has a shot, I would think, late 3rd, early 4th round.
Everyone is talking about the draft, but you won't feel one from high-quality Pella Windows. Get no-interest financing options or free glass upgrades today at PellaWI.com.
What's up, Wisconsin fans? Enjoying the game should always be easy, so don't overthink it. What to wear? Done. Just toss on your lucky jersey. Don't know what to serve your friends? Easy. Pick up some pizza from your go-to place and grab Bud Light to stock your fridge. See? It's that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly, 21+. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Get ready for the ultimate Saturday night at Hard Rock Casino Rockford. Join us for the all-new Queen of Hearts drawing at 4, 6, 8, and 10 p.m. This is your chance for royal glory. When your name is drawn, choose the right card and you could win a life-changing jackpot, up to $150,000. The longer the Queen stays hidden, the bigger the jackpot grows. Let's Hard Rock with the Queen of Hearts only at Hard Rock Casino Rockford. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 833-234.
At Metro Ford Madison, you pay what employees pay. Customers pay employee pricing on all in-stock new Ford vehicles. This month, drive away in the 2025 Ford Explorer with financing as low as 5.9% for 72 months, $16.53 cost per thousand borrowed. Or get the 2024 Ford Mach-E with financing as low as 0.9% for 72 months, $14.27 cost per thousand borrowed. Hurry! These offers end April 30th. Head to Metro Ford Madison or visit MetroFordMadison.com today.
Looking to join an international quality golf club right here in Madison? Discover TPC Wisconsin, an instant classic in the heart of the Midwest. With a course co-designed by Steve Stricker and PGA Tour Designs, it's the 13th and newest TPC Network golf club in the world. Other high-quality amenities include a short game practice area, athletic performance center, and meeting and dining facilities, plus membership benefits that reach around the globe. Schedule a tour at tpcwisconsin.com and start your journey to a lifetime of priceless golf.
If you're a motorist of the four-wheel variety, please watch out for those of us in Wisconsin who do their traveling on two wheels. Adjust your mirrors to reduce your blind spots. Allow motorcyclists a full lane width. Use your turn signal when merging or changing lanes. And allow more following distance between you and the motorcycle. Motorists and motorcyclists can work together to achieve zero preventable deaths on Wisconsin roads. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Learn more at zeroinwisconsin.gov. Wisconsin DOT.
The Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, Game 2.
Giannis down low, stuffs it down with a one-hand slam.
The Milwaukee Brewers, the San Francisco Giants.
Did he make the catch? He sure did!
Tonight on 100.5 ESPN.
Can keep my hands on myself.
2 days until the NFL draft. It's ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Mr. Irrelevant crew with you. Alex Strouf live from Green Bay, just in the shadow of Lambeau Field. The clouds are rolling in now. It was such a nice day here in Green Bay after a windy, crappy day yesterday. The weather not on our side so far this week. Hopefully it holds off the rest of the week. It's come to my attention, by the way, going to break last segment, I called it the all-new ESPN Wisconsin Draft because I haven't been saying the word draft enough the last few weeks. I don't know what an ESPN Wisconsin Draft would look like if you could have a fantasy team of radio hosts. This guy would be a first-round pick. Joining us now, three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. He is the co-host of Wilde and Tausch. He is a dedicated writer, father, radio host, teammate, all the in-betweens. So much so, he's joining us on video right now, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. Our buddy Jason Wilde joining us now on ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. What's up, Jason? Good to see you.
Yeah, sorry I didn't make it over there in person. School pickup later today would have been better for me in terms of my schedule to see you in person. But I don't like the fact we're in the same town and we're not together, but I'm probably going to get more than my fill of Alex Strouf over the next few days.
ESPN Wisconsin Draft Night coming up Thursday night. It begins at 6 o'clock. It ends at midnight. That is 6 hours. You will spend 6 hours with me on Thursday night. ESPN Wisconsin Draft Night Friday night. That starts at 6 p.m. That ends at 10 p.m. That's 4 more hours. That is a total of 10 hours on top of what we're doing right now that you will be spending with me. So I think we'll be all right.
No, I won't be spending all that time with you. I'll be covering the draft and occasionally joining you, so I don't have to spend that much time.
Oh, sure. You can leave when you've had your fill. I understand.
I'll come back. All right.
Nice you built that into your contract.
Well, it's not a contract. I got to cover the press conferences. I got to be there for the picks. But I am excited. Look, I don't know about you. I know you're in the heart of it now at the Tundra Trio. When I was at Lambeau yesterday for Goody, I didn't feel the buzz. I felt a lot of people working, getting things set up for when the buzz begins, but I did not feel the buzz.
It does feel now. This was obviously from two different perspectives here in Ashwaubenon and Green Bay, but it feels like they're really taking construction down to the 11th hour, man. Like I don't know. Obviously, I've never been to an NFL draft. This will be my first one, so I wasn't in Cleveland, I wasn't in Detroit, etc. But I imagine they might have been a little bit more ahead of this than the Packers are. This feels like they're getting everything together at the final minute. No criticism because it just needs to be ready by Thursday, but they've got hundreds and hundreds of construction workers here in Green Bay, Jason, which obviously you witnessed up close yesterday at Brian Gutekunst's press conference. Does it feel to you like they're kind of coming down to the last minute in terms of getting things ready?
It does. Now, our buddy Rob Domofsky did a really good piece on ESPN.com and ESPNWisconsin.com. And I love the fact that he talked to the folks that have their homes right on the corner of where the draft stage is. I thought it was a great idea. Really smart by him. I loved it. But I think he makes it clear in that story, and I think other people I've spoken to have made it clear that the NFL knows what they're doing. I took the elevator down. We're using a freight elevator to go up and down from where we're going to be working from, which I felt like I was in like Die Hard or something. So it was a little. I don't have a lot of freight elevator experience, but I took it down with one of the kind of higher ups on the TV side from the NFL, and we were just making small talk. And I said, I'm excited for this. It's not my job to root for the home team, but I'm excited to have it in my town. I said, I just hope we're going to look good. Which I do think we will. But he said, there's no doubt. And here's the thing. All the folks that are involved with the broadcast and all the folks that are involved with putting on the event, they've all done this a lot. They do Super Bowls. They do international games. They do drafts. And so I agree with you. I was thinking the exact same thing. When I went into Lambeau yesterday, I was like, holy cow, they got a lot to finish still. And the draft is like 48 hours away or whatever it was at that point, 54 hours away. So I'm super curious how they put it all together at the 11th hour, as you put it. I think you're right on the money, though. It feels like they're taking it down to the wire. Maybe they like running the 2-minute drill. I hope they have 3 timeouts to stop the clock with, though.
Well, as somebody with ADHD, I do my best work under pressure. I don't know if Roger Goodell and company have ADHD. I don't know, man. But at the end of the day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's going to be a world-class experience, to your point. I mean, they're going to have everything in place. They're going to have everything ready. It's going to be the party of the year in the state of Wisconsin. It's going to be awesome. So looking forward to that. Before we get to more draft talk, Jason, do want to get your 2 cents on Jaire, which I know you've spent a lot of time on the last couple of days on Wilde and Tausch. But Brian Gutekunst at his press conference yesterday, which you were at, mentioned, we'll see what happens in the draft, and then we'll see where we're at in regards to what will happen with Jaire Alexander. And that phraseology, to use a Jason Wilde term, caught my ears, right? We'll see what happens in the draft. What would happen in the draft for him to make finally a decision on Jaire Alexander? Is he, to speak of the 11th hour, is he waiting to see if somebody will actually offer compensation in the draft this year for Jaire Alexander before he pulls the trigger on maybe releasing him?
Yeah, the challenge for me is to not allow my bias of this is what people that are smart have told me is going to happen, because I don't ever want to eliminate. I don't want to say, okay, this is definitely not what he's saying there, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't say that with absolute certainty. I did not take that as, well, we'll see if we get some corners in the draft, and if we don't, maybe we'll keep him. That I don't think that's what he said. You can interpret it that way if you want. You can also think that all of us beat writers are trying to run Jaire out of town. That's just not the case. I took that as, we'll see if a team doesn't get a corner that wanted a corner, and now they have a need at corner, and they're willing to give us a day 3, 6th-round pick for Jaire. That's how I took it. And if they get through the draft and no one will have called because they don't want to take on his $16 million salary or whatever it might be, then they'll probably move on after the draft is over. But I think, in my opinion, the vibe that I've gotten all along, and look, remember, Goody articulated this himself. That's the craziest part about this for the Packers portion of the fan base that are holding out hope. And look, I'm among those folks, okay? So it's okay. Hand up, I'm with you. I would rather have Jaire on this team than not because I like talking to him. I have a really good relationship with him. You and I talked about it after the final locker clean out. Like, he was ready to talk to me. And then he saw the cameras, and then he did kind of this demonstrative, I don't even know if I'm going to be here. And the window closed.
My favorite part of that, Jason, sorry to cut you off, just real quick. My favorite part of that interaction at locker cleanout when he said, I'm not going to talk, I don't even know if I'm going to be here. He pretty much gave us the information we needed, right?
He did.
Without talking
exactly
formally to the media. Yeah. He pretty much answered the question you were going to ask anyway, which is nice of him. Anyway, continue.
Well, I would love for him to come back. I enjoy covering him. I've told the story a bunch how he embraced giving me words of wisdom to put on the back of our basketball team's T-shirt, and he wore his shirt proudly multiple times in the locker room. So I don't have any problem with Ja. The Packers have a problem with his lack of availability, and Goody has a problem with that. And frankly, I'm guessing, and I have not talked to him because he was putting me through this entire process of earning the right to have his phone number. So I don't have his number. I've not talked to him. I had people vouch for me. It was a whole thing. He enjoyed every minute of making it difficult for me. But I have not talked to him, but I would be willing to guess, an educated guess, that he doesn't necessarily want to be here anymore either. Like, I don't think he feels like, they stood up for him, that they appreciated the fact that he actually was hurt. I think he was really mad, and they were really mad that he didn't play in that Bears game after he said he could go. I think he's bothered that they didn't understand, hey, look, I tried to go, I couldn't, and they held it against me. All that stuff. I just think both sides are ready for a fresh start. So that's what I think ultimately will happen. But as Rob Domofsky reported quite a while ago, the Packers haven't asked him to take a pay cut because they don't want him to take one and stay.
Right.
And they also know that he would say no anyway. Like, this idea that there's any sort of level of, conversation, I just don't see it. The end game is going to be he's going to be on someone else's roster. And if I'm wrong, great, because I would love to talk to him again. But I think I've probably had my last conversation with him.
That's unfortunate. Probably not your last conversation ever with him, but maybe you'll get his phone number one of these days. Jason Wilde with me, Alex Strouf here on ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, Mr. Irrelevant, live on ESPN Wisconsin, the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app. So at the cornerback position, and look, I love Draft Week, Jason, because you have no idea how the draft is going to play out, but my brain is wired in a way where I try to figure out the direction Goody's going to go. Maybe not necessarily, doing a mock draft, but saying, okay, we know this is a position of need. So looking at corner, you have Carrington Valentine, you have Keyshawn Nixon, and you have free agent addition Nate Hobbs. That's pretty much your three you have on the roster. I, in my brain, have now conjured up this idea that the Packers are going to approach cornerback in this draft like they did safety a year ago, kind of taking the old adage, throw blank at the wall, see what sticks.
Spaghetti?
At corner, like the spaghetti at the wall, yes, exactly. Spaghetti does stick if you throw it at the wall, if it's cooked, by the way. Just a fun fact for all of you science experts out there. I think that's the approach they take at corner this year. You think I'm onto something, or am I just trying to make things up because it's draft week?
No, you're making things up, but maybe you'll be right. A broken clock is right twice a day.
It's true.
Look, one of the things I was trying to get at with Goody yesterday, and I asked him a couple of different questions. The fact that you brought the 3 top wide receivers in this draft in for visits, does that mean you're looking at the position differently? He basically said no, right? Tetaroa McMillan is, I think, the best one of the 3.
Fascinating.
At the same time, I asked Goody a question about you have never had a draft where you didn't have a first, second, and third round pick that you selected. Now, sometimes you had 2. In 2022, you took both of the second round picks you had, yours and the Raiders, from the Devontae trade, and moved up to take Christian Watson. But he's always had a first round pick, at least one. He's always had a second round pick, at least one. And he's always had a third round pick, at least one. He's only got 8 picks. He's only got 1 of each of those in this draft. So is he really willing to give up a 2 or a 3 to go up to try and get McMillan or a whichever wide receiver he really likes? Because, again, we don't know. But we know he went to Tetaroa McMillan's pro day, and we know he had him in for a 30 visit. So there's a level of interest there that's undeniable. But I didn't walk out of Lambeau yesterday and then walk along this really long fence to get an exit and then walk all the way back from the way I came on the other side of the fence to get to my car. I didn't feel like he was going to draft a wide receiver after that conversation. Now, he still might, but I didn't. That was not the vibe I got. Now, my vibes aren't always right, obviously, but I think they're more likely to keep investing on defense if somehow a wide receiver that was one of the three that visited is still there at 23. Look, I don't. We're doing and I forgot to. Sorry, Hunter, I forgot to send you all these answers to the questions. Things have been crazy, but on our video feed, we're showing all of the non-Packers things to do in Green Bay and your wish list and everything else. I'll tell you this, my wish list is really good stories, guys that have good stories. There's no doubt about that. But when I look at this team, I think that this is a team that is still going to keep investing defensively. So I think they need a corner more. I think they need a defensive lineman / edge rusher more. But I think the biggest takeaway that I got out of yesterday, Strouf, was that it's not lip service that Goody thinks that he's got a really good football team. Like, we talked about how he said at the NFL meetings, we've got everything we need on the defensive line. And we talked about how he refers to the wide receivers and the expectation of jumps by guys. And I thought, well, what the hell else is he going to say? He didn't add a defensive lineman, so he's got to say that they've got what they need. He didn't add a wide receiver other than McCole Hardman. He's not going to say, I should have traded for DK Metcalf because these guys aren't good enough, right?
Right.
And so, but I have now changed my take on that. I think he's a true believer. I think he thinks he's got a damn good roster and that all these young guys are going to coalesce and gel into a championship caliber football team. And he's going to augment the roster in this draft. And he filled a couple of needs in free agency. And he thinks, let's go, baby. I mean, that line that he had yesterday about if we had to play a game this week, I feel very, very good about my team. I don't think that was GM speak anymore. I think that's what he really believes.
And I hope he's right for obvious reasons, being a Packers fan. But I don't know, man. Like, I still feel like you have to acknowledge the shortcomings, right? A top-end receiver. The pass rush was not very good last year. And as we've talked about before, I think internally they view that more of a coaching issue than a personnel issue. That's why they made the change at defensive line coach. But we'll see what happens in the draft. But to your point, I think Goody does believe he has a really good roster because when asked if he needs a first-round pick that is an immediate contributor, the very first word out of his mouth was, no, Jason, which I guess if you look at Goody's draft history, not many of his first-round picks have been immediate contributors, right? Last year, Jordan Morgan didn't really contribute. Lucas Van Ness was a bench player, coming into the rotation a bit on the defensive line his rookie year. Jordan Love wasn't active for a single game his rookie year. So that's typically been the case. But as the youngest team in the league, Jason, I think you need guys that, like Edgerrin Cooper, like Evan Williams, like Jaden Reed and the tight ends their rookie year, who can come in and be contributors immediately, even if that doesn't mean they're star players, to get to the level that I think Goody already feels the Packers are at.
Well, and look, I think his point was, it's about opportunity, right? I mean, there was opportunity at linebacker. There was opportunity at safety last year. So those guys got opportunities, and they played well. Previous years, like 2022, there was opportunity all over the place, right? And it's one of the reasons, because they played so many rookies, that they were where they were in 2022 for a variety of reasons, but that's one of them. They're going to need guys that are going to contribute this year, but it doesn't have to absolutely positively be the first-round pick. Going back to our point about what he believes about this team, though, I think this also lends credence to how he handled the urgency question, right? I mean, I wasn't there at the NFL meetings, but, when I asked that question at the end of the press conference after the season about, you've talked about a lot of the potential and the good players and good locker room you have, what were you disappointed about? What do you need to improve on? And that's when he delivered the urgency answer. And someone asked him at the NFL meetings about it and how that applied to him. He just doubled down on the fact that his message was to the players. It wasn't about him. And so that further, in my opinion, underscores the fact that he thinks he's got the players. He needs those players to play with greater urgency, to become the players that they need to become for them to be a Super Bowl team. So again, I'm not saying that they are a perfect team by any stretch. I think the GM believes that he's got the team to get it done, and he's going to augment it over the next 3 days. And I think he feels very good, and he's not just blowing smoke. He's putting it on the players now to elevate their games and the coaches to help them elevate their games. And now we'll see. The one thing that I would caution Goody about, not that he cares about what I have to say, is that even if you believe wholeheartedly in your starting 22 plus, if you have a crap year injury luck-wise, look at what happened to Detroit. Look at what happened to San Francisco. San Francisco, to start the season last year, was not as bad as they ended up being. Detroit was better than what they ended up being. They still almost pulled it off and got to their first Super Bowl. But you're telling me if they had much better injury luck that they wouldn't have been in the Super Bowl? I'm sorry. I believe they were better than Philly.
Well, I agree.
They had their team together.
I agree with you on that. All right, last thing for Jason Wilde joining us here on Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, presented by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. So we played a piece of audio from you yesterday, Jason, when you joined Craig Karmazin on Sunday Karma, and you mentioned the first round wide receiver idea, which we just talked about a bit, and you gave me credit. You said I saw Strouf posted about this the last time. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round. He was in diapers. It was Javon Walker in 2002. And believe it or not, a guy that doesn't love conflict has a bone to pick with you. JOSHY DiMaggio, go ahead, buddy. You've got a bone to pick with Jason, I hear?
I think you're framing this wrong. The bone to pick is with you all along the time, is taking credit for my opinion and then passing it off on your own for Jason to be misled. Jason, I have no problem with you. I talked about this months ago when the Potawatomi draft odds came out and wide receiver was a distant fourth. And I said, I don't think that makes sense. They've been involved in the DK Metcalf thing, however you want to say it. And one of their first very visits was a first-round wide receiver. So to me, it would indicate that the Packers are looking at possibly taking a wide receiver in the first round. And then since then, you liked that opinion of mine and have run with it on every program you allowed. So Jason's clear by me. I don't even need the credit. All the loyal listeners to this very program know I've been saying it, and you just sort of jumped on my back. You're my backpack.
Yeah. Co-opted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I always want to make sure that I'm on Big Cat's good side. That's one of the
good choice. I live on the opposite side. It's not very fun.
Secondly, look, their behavior supports, Josh, your opinion and Strouf, Josh's opinion that you stole, right? Like here I'll leave you with this. So, and we were talking about it after Goody wrapped up yesterday in the room. Last year, someone asked him about Cooper DeJean, and he gave a lengthy, detailed answer about how star-spangled awesome Cooper DeJean was. And we all looked at each other after he walked out of the room, and Domofsky said, well, I guess they're not picking Cooper DeJean, right? Because you don't talk about him that way. Yesterday, Matt Schneidman from The Athletic asked about Teteroa McMillan and asked him, you were the only GM that was there at his pro day. And Goody goes, no, I wasn't there. As a joke, right? And then he said, well, maybe I was the only one that was reported to have been there. And then when he was asked more about McMillan, he clammed up, which again, maybe nothing, maybe, hey, I'm not going to talk out loud about a guy I like a lot. So I think both of you, obviously you, Josh, primarily, could be right. But again, it goes back to my point, which is Goody going to give up his second and third round picks to go up to 10 to try and take this guy? I don't believe he will.
No.
So it's great that he clearly likes him. They brought him. Not only did he go to the pro day, but he was one of the guys they brought in.
Yeah.
So he clearly likes him. But again, if they end up with him, I told you, I'm rooting for the story. And that is a freaking unbelievable story. And we can talk about how he played coy in his pre-draft press conference. We can talk about how he was at the pro day. We can ask him, hey, was this when you decided, like Ted Thompson at Clay Matthews' pro day at USC, I got to get this guy. I got to do whatever it takes to get this guy. I just think that that's a great story that is not going to get told because he's not going to give up all that capital to get up to go get him. That's my opinion. We'll see how it unfolds on Thursday night.
I love it. I love it. You got me all fired up. I still think this is the year, but we will see if the Packers ultimately land a wide receiver at pick 23. This is like a mini version of Weekly Wilde, which we are we should probably do after the draft, which we do during the season every week. ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, the ESPN Wisconsin app. Jason Wilde, I always feel smarter after I talk to you, which I imagine you do not feel the same way about me, but that's okay. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, let's just say this. If they don't do all those things and they don't get McMillan, you can steal my opinion and say, I told you guys on Mr. Irrelevant last Tuesday that they weren't going to do it. There's no way. And I won't even call you out on it.
Go away.
Deuces, B.
Take care, be good. That's a great Jason Wilde, man. He cracks me up. Joshy, that really backfired on me. I thought that was going to go better.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to pose it that way. I thought you were just going to say, Jason, I have to come clean here. You've been crediting me with this opinion.
I would admit no wrongdoing.
That became clear. What's going to be the best, and I'm seeing the writing on the wall here already, is Tet McMillan, for whatever reason, is going to be available at 23, just with how the draft goes. And the Packers are going to pass and take an offensive
edge. Guard.
Yeah, right. And we're all going to be like, all righty, well, maybe they just had that guy rated higher.
but yeah, well, that's what they say they do, right? Best player available, highest rated player available. I'm so excited for the draft, Joshy. I'm so fired up.
Yeah, this is the best time because now we are fully in the I'm hearing rumors. This team likes this team wants to trade. So now every single day the mock drafts and the where people think they are going changes. It is now a daily moving up and down boards, people going way higher or way lower than everyone anticipated. This is the good time.
I've been infected with the Wilde and Tausch timing. The fourth segment of the 12 o'clock hour is coming up next, and then we will start the 1 o'clock hour a little late. But terrific conversation with Jason Wilde. If you missed any of it, find it, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and, of course, the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app. Not draft, like I called it earlier. Mr. Relevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week continues right after this on ESPN Wisconsin.
More Mr. Irrelevant coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited. Siding Unlimited is the proven exteriors professionals for 31 years. Family owned and locally operated right here in Wisconsin. National and local awards proving Siding Unlimited will deliver peace of mind. Looking for inspiration to replace your windows, roofing, siding, and doors? Stop by our amazing showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road in Madison. And definitely check out sidingunlimited.com. We are Siding Unlimited.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. If you're looking for a place where you can better yourself while having a wonderful atmosphere, you have it at the Princeton Club. Strong communities, strong body, and strong mind. All it takes is one small step to start today. You will see that you have everything you need in order to achieve all of your goals. Find your better tomorrow at the Princeton Club. 8 Madison locations where you go in there, you take a tour, and you realize this is a place for me. Find more at PrincetonClub.net.
Celebrate Cinco de Mayo at the Bridges. On Saturday, May 3rd, play in a 2- or 4-person scramble for $120 per person. Includes 18 holes with a cart, prizes, and a Mexican feast. Find more details at golfthebridges.com today.
You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. What is a better buying experience? Well, that's the thing. You get to define it. It is the experience that is customized to you. What experience do you want at a car dealership? They can be your trusted friend or your trusted expert. So if you're in the market for a new or new-to-you Silverado, Colorado, Blazer, Trailblazer, remember, you're only minutes away from a better buying experience. And that's at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
The 2015 Wisconsin men's hoops team gave us all a march to remember.
There will be no undefeated champion on Wisconsin with an unbelievable stretch drive to the championship game.
On June 26th, enjoy an intimate celebration with the stars of the run with Made 'em Believe. Presented by M3 Insurance. World-class expertise and individual attention. Tickets are on sale now at uwhoops2015.com. Made 'em Believe, June 26th at the Orpheum Theater in Madison.
The Bucky Badger Student Mascot Fund was created to support the amazing student athletes who bring the best mascot in the world to life.
My name is Jake Huser. I was Bucky from 2021 to 2024, and my favorite memory of being Bucky was winning a national championship with both volleyball in 2021 and women's hockey in 2023.
Your donation will help fund new scholarships to ensure that the rich tradition of Bucky lives on. Learn more at supportbucky.org. That's supportbucky.org.
Waiting to see a general surgeon? With Stoughton Health, it's always easy access, with most appointments within a week. And with over 160 insurances accepted, you're covered and in good hands. For more information, visit stoughtonhealth.com. Stoughton Health, creating excellence together.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
That I don't really have any updates on Jaire. He's obviously on our roster right now. We'll see how the draft goes and then see where we are at that point.
Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Alex Strouf, Josh DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn hanging out with you until 2 o'clock, leading you right into Kyle, Brust, and Norton. We are live and local all week long. It's the biggest event in sports. It's the second biggest event annually, aside from the Super Bowl, for the National Football League. And it's in our literal backyard here at the Tundra Trio in Green Bay, and, of course, my hometown. Good to be up here all week. That was Brian Gutekunst, the Packers general manager, yesterday on the ongoing saga, I think it'd be fair to call it, with cornerback Jaire Alexander. Saga, a fair word there, Joshy? Is that a fair play?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have avoided a saga by just making a decision quickly here and getting it over with. It is a self-induced saga. You could say that for sure.
Look. I'm gonna land this plane here, Joshy. Stick with me for a moment, all right? I love my girlfriend. You love your girlfriend.
Okay.
I would imagine we can relate because sometimes I've noticed my partner, my girlfriend, is indecisive when it comes to dinner selections. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. It kind of feels like what Brian Gutekunst is doing with Jaire Alexander. Hey, Goody, what do you want to do with Jaire? I don't know, maybe tacos, maybe pasta. I don't know, though. I'm not really craving anything. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the analogy here, especially when you get to the point where it's like, all right, I'm going to make a decision here, and then the other person doesn't like that decision, even though they don't have a decision to make themselves. Not that that could be applied to either of our lives.
No, definitely not. Absolutely
no.
Never
Speaking
happened
from
once.
Experience.
I just got a text that said, "Better be careful, buddy. Your girlfriend's listening." From my girlfriend. So hopefully I landed that plane all right. All right, hour 2, Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Coming up next, more from Brian Gutekunst, including, is he serious? We talked about it with Jason. We'll get into it coming up next. It's Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, right here on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison, and the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
A Blaine's Farm and Fleet original story.
Why is everyone coming on their riding mowers and UTVs?
I figured all the neighbors could use a break from yard work, so I invited them for
a ride-on lawnmower movie?
Or, as I like to say, a movie.
We've got the value you need to do things your way. Like all pairs of Skechers, buy one, get one half price. Select 4 packs of ratcheting tie-downs, $17.99. And new colors of men's work and sport polos, $15.99. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
When you've been injured, you need a winning team on your side. Gruber Law Offices will fight for the results you deserve. Call Gruber Law Offices today, a proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers. One call, that's all.
Sports Center updates on 100.5 ESPN are brought to you by Metro Kia of Madison. Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or visit metrokiaofmadison.com.
Hey, it's Kelly Sheffield, Wisconsin Badger volleyball head coach. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN, WTLX, Monona, Madison, a good Karma Brands radio station.
The countdown to the NFL Draft in Green Bay is on. This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf, powered by ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. Broadcasting live from the shadow of Lambeau Field at the Tundra Trio. Here's Alex Strouf.
Let's go, Hour 2, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Mr. Irrelevant with you live from Green Bay, the shadow of Lambeau Field. A true honor to be with you all week long, 12 to 2 p.m. here on ESPN Wisconsin. Appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang with me, JOSHY, DiMaggio, and Hunter Vaughn on ESPN Wisconsin. We are having a blast, man, talking Packers, talking NFL Draft. This is truly an unbelievable week here in my hometown of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and just fired up for it. And, thank goodness for Brian Gutekunst, by the way. Content machine yesterday. All the reporters in the room asking the right question. Plenty to dive into from Brian Gutekunst. So, I want to pose this question. We're going to get into this a lot in the 1 o'clock hour, and the Carbless Talking Text line is wide open for you. 844-770-3776. 844-770-ESPN is the Carbless Talking Text line. Lists is more with Carbless. Drink Carbless on the Carbless Talking Text line. Again, 844-770-3776. I want to get into this the entire hour. What position group for the Green Bay Packers needs to take the biggest jump in 2025? Because I want to reflect a little bit. I want to think back. I want accountability here on Mr. Irrelevant. We're good at accountability, especially Josh. He's really good at it. Brian Gutekunst said this back in January. He had a season-ending press conference after the wild card loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. And here is his full answer, and you will notice something that we are going to it's going to become a theme of this second hour. In this answer from Brian Gutekunst, essentially saying, hey, you had your shortcomings. How do you get to the next level in the coming seasons? And here's what Brian Gutekunst had to say at his season-ending press conference. This was back in January from the general manager of the Packers.
You always have some disappointments in the year. I think for me, the thing that's been on my mind, I think as we've concluded this season, is we need to continue to ramp up our sense of urgency. These opportunities don't come. The life of a player in the National Football League is not very long. We got a bunch of good guys in that locker room. We got a bunch of talented guys in that locker room, and I think it's time that we start competing for championships, right? And I think they're ready. I think they're, like I said, I think they are wired right. I think that group is the kind of guys that can do that. I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
I think it's time we start competing for championships.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Yeah, I think so too, Brian. What time is it?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I'm fascinated by that.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Because he believes that. He's the general manager of the Packers. It's not GM speak. He really believes he has a good enough roster to do just that.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
I think it is time that the Packers start competing for championships. But they are going to need some help.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
There was clear shortcomings in 2024. Wide receiver, edge rush, cornerback is a position that needs to be upgraded, and this is a big week in order to do it. But also, you need the growth that comes with being the youngest team in the NFL. You need a clear jump for some guys, year 2 to year 3, for some guys, year 3 to year 4, and obviously the rookies from last year, Evan Williams, Edgerrin Cooper, you need a jump from year 1 to year 2. And if you get a jump in year 2 or year 3 or year 4 in 2025, I think Goody's going to be absolutely right about what he said.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
But which group needs to step up the most? And that's what I want to hear from you on. 844-770-3776. Let's go around the horn and see what the answers of the Mr. Relevant crew is. We start in Milwaukee. We start with JOSHY DiMaggio. Josh DiMaggio, which position group needs to take the biggest step in 2025 for the Packers to, as Goody says, start competing for championships?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Quarterback.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
I can make a case also for wide receiver or edge, but I think, as with everything, as we know with sports, the most important position is the quarterback position in all of those sports that we name. I don't think anything they can do with the draft remaining here will make as big of an impact on the future and the potential heights the Packer could reach unless Jordan Love becomes one of the greats. If he elevates himself above that, what is he, 8 to 12, you would probably say, in the quarterback rankings. If he can make himself somebody who's considered in or near the top 5, then everything changes and all of the hopes and dreams will be realized. I think certainly wide receiver would be what I pick next, but those wide receivers are going to look better if Jordan Love isn't overthrowing them, not throwing accurate passes, or making boneheaded decisions that shorten drive. So I think, bar none, a runaway winner is the quarterback position.
Well, I think to your point, and to Goody's point back in January,
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
2 years ago, Jordan Love elevated his game. He was the best quarterback in the league the second half of the season, and they made it further in the playoffs than they did last year when he was not the best quarterback in the league. He was dealing with injuries. His wide receivers obviously still growing. 2 of them were top 10 in the league and dropped passes. Jordan Love was not playing to the elite level that he got paid to play at. So to your point, I think you're spot on. It's the most important position in sports. But I think we know what to expect from Jordan Love, and it is better than what we saw last year. That's why that's not my answer. We will get to my answer in a second, but let's go to Madison. Let's go to Hunter Von Hunter. Which Packers position group do you view needing to step up the most in 2025 in order for them to realize Goody's claims and wishes of?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
I still think it's the D-line. I feel like I've been on this one since the playoffs and seeing what the Eagles have been doing or what they did. And they just need more from the D-line across the board, not just edge. Like, you need guys that can get into the face of the quarterback. You need guys that can get on the outside and close in the pocket from the edge. It has to be all of it together, and they just aren't good enough. And they need to keep taking swings at it. I don't think they will this year, and I think they're going to have more problems. So then you're going to have to see in the season more blitzing from linebackers. It's going to cause all sorts of other problems where if they shore up this D-line, I think it fixes other issues that the defense had this year.
I think it's a great answer by you. And look, in order to do what Goody is asking for back in January,
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
In order to do that, you need a lot of groups to take a jump. Last year wasn't good enough to be competing for championships. You need the pass rush. You need Rashawn Gary to become a game wrecker. You need Lucas Van Ness to develop into a good or great edge rusher. You need Kenny Clark to be 2021 Kenny Clark. You need him to be disruptive in the middle. You need jumps from Devontae Wyatt. You need jumps from Quay Walker. Everybody's got to take that next step in order for this team to do what Goody asked for back in January.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
My answer is wide receiver. And to Joshy's point on Jordan Love, obviously he needs to elevate his game and become a quarterback that you can live by and die by, right? That's something that Packers fans like myself have been so used to for 30 years. You have a quarterback that can win you games and can certainly lose you games, which you saw probably more with Favre than Rodgers. But both of those guys, you walked in going, knowing you had a chance to win every football game you played. You need Love to be at that level. But you also need those guys alongside him to rise with him. The Jaden Reeds, the Dontavian Wickses, the Romeo Dobbs, and according to Joshy, who he hopes the Packers draft in the first round, whether that's Tet McMillan or Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State or Matthew Golden out of Texas, you need, if you're going to add a wide receiver to that room, for that guy to be an immediate impact player and a contributor right off the rip. So Joshy says quarterback. Hunter says defensive line. I say wide receiver. What say you? Which position group needs to take the biggest step in 2025 for the Packers too?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Goody, I think it's time we take a commercial break. What say you?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Oh, boy, Mr. Relevant competing for championships? Watch out, Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. Here comes Joshy. Here comes Hunter. Here comes Strouf. Mr. Relevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. We're going to continue to try to compete for championships on this very program as we continue to dive into the conversation. Which position group needs to take the biggest step in 2025 in order for the Packers?
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
We'll dive into it next on ESPN Wisconsin.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Mr. Irrelevant is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hey, want to make your next meal a little less ordinary? Well, head to Quick Trip. Hey, we are so back serving up our legendary No Ordinary Chicken. Yeah, your dinner is hand-breaded, fried to perfection, ready to eat for tonight's dinner. Or you can buy it cold, sealed fresh for tomorrow's lunch. You know, we love to make life easier for you. This isn't just any chicken. It's Quick Trip's No Ordinary Chicken. Stop in your local Quick Trip today and taste the difference.
Ben Brust here to tell you about why your next work van should be from Mercedes-Benz Sprinter at Zimbrick European. First off, we have versatility. The Sprinter vans offer 16 body types and thousands of ways to customize that space. Number 2, we have reliability. Sprinter's most powerful diesel engines last longer and require less maintenance, spend more time on the road and less time in those bays. Number 3, we have safety. Sprinter's safety technologies include curtain airbags all around, load adaptive electronic stability program, and crosswind and attention assist. Number 4, Van Care Mobile. Our maintenance team can come to you with routine service. Who wants to go in? Let them come to you. They work with multiple trucks on one visit. Use the Mercedes Me Connect. And last but not least, get your Zimbrick Sprinter at Zimbrick European at Rimrock Road and the Beltline, or go online at ZimbrickEuropean.com because they never charge over the MSRP.
Bo here from Ridgetop Exteriors. Southern Wisconsin got hit hard with hail recently. If your home took a beating, now's the time to take action. We've been delivering top quality roofing, siding, and window services locally for over 23 years. With free damage assessments and insurance experts on staff, we've been your licensed, local, and trusted contractor since day one. Don't wait until small damage becomes a big problem. Turn to Ridgetop Exteriors today. RidgetopExteriors.com. That's RidgetopExteriors.com.
Ridgetop Exteriors.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
Hi, this is Lee.
inviting you to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton. We got a great happy hour every day of the week from 4 o'clock to 7, and our patio during the summer is open too. If you're getting married, special occasion, a birthday, anniversary, or even a business meeting, we've got all the accommodations right here at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You work hard and sometimes you're not sure what you want to do, where you want to spend your money. I want to encourage you to come into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and say hello. It'd be a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited. Siding Unlimited is the proven exteriors professionals for 31 years. Family owned and locally operated right here in Wisconsin. National and local awards proving Siding Unlimited will deliver peace of mind. Looking for inspiration to replace your windows, roofing, siding, and doors? Stop by our amazing showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road in Madison. And definitely check out sidingunlimited.com. We are Siding Unlimited.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Having the time of our life. ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Mr. Irrelevant with you here on ESPN Wisconsin. I'm Alex Strouf live from Green Bay as the preparations for the NFL Draft continue up here. JOSHY DiMaggio back at the Gruber offices, One Call That's All studio in Milwaukee. Hunter Vaughn, Tiny Hands, back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. It's time for our Segment 6 vibe check. JOSHY, 1 out of 10, where are we at?
About a 7.5. I'm a little tired. I've been underground and haven't seen daylight since 6 this morning. So, yeah, I could use probably a little stroll.
Okay, a little stroll.
Yeah.
Stroll, which you can find on social media, ESPN Milwaukee. Yeah, at least for Green Bay, not a lot of sunlight showing right now. More rain clouds up here as we're expecting more rain this afternoon. Hunter, 1 out of 10. How we doing?
I'm feeling like an 8. I think I'm feeling good that Dame's back for the Bucks. Like, I'm feeling good, getting ready for the draft, so I'm feeling good.
I'm at a 9, which brings us to a 24 out of 30 between the three of us. So not bad. We'll take it. Good stuff. We're asking you today, who do you think, which position group do you think on the Green Bay Packers needs to take the biggest jump in 2025? Tons of responses rolling in on the text line, including this one from a 608 number. 844-770-3776 is the Cardinals talking text line. 608 says, I'd love whatever Goody is smoking. I think D-line needs to take the biggest leap. And all those first-round guys with little to show, as we were listening back to something Brian Gutekunst said way back in January at his end-of-season press conference, where he essentially said this.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
And 608 says, I'd love whatever Goody is smoking. A couple days late for that, bro. That was Sunday's activities. It's Tuesday activities now, 608.
What was Sunday?
Easter, Josh. WrestleMania, day 2.
I didn't know smoking and Easter were a holiday.
Wait, WrestleMania was multiple days?
Yeah, WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday.
Why?
Been that way since the pandemic. Yeah, they do that with a lot of their big events now.
Double the pleasure, double the fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun is one word
Sunday?
for it.
Sunday was Easter. It was WrestleMania.
I went to a
NBA
WrestleMania
playoffs.
party, by the way, on Sunday.
No, you did not.
Swear? I have a friend
You did?
whose significant other...
Hold on. No, time out. You on the record many times have said you would rather rip your fingernails out with a pliers than watch WWE, and you attended a WrestleMania party willingly?
Well, that was under the pretense that I'd be doing it with you. Yeah, I went to a friend's party. It was the first time in their new house they had a get-together, and I said, you know what? I'll go have a couple cocktails. I won't really watch much wrestling because I won't really know who the people are, what's going on. But I'll take part.
Sure.
I'll have some snacks.
So, what'd you think? What'd you think of rapper Travis Scott showing up? Did you get enjoyment out of that?
No, I dislike
to help
him
John
a
Cena.
lot.
Yeah, as do most people, and rightfully so. So there you go. Okay. That is the upset of the century right there. And also, you act like you dislike me. You act like you dislike me. But I know deep down Joshy is a big Alex Strouf fan. I know it.
I don't act like I dislike you. There are definitely certain settings where I don't want to be around you. And wrestling is probably one of those because it would just be a peppering of my ears and excitement and whooping.
Actually, speaking of which, I had the opportunity last night, Joshy, to listen back to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy for Monday. And I heard Jen Latta take a shot at me.
Yeah.
Saying that, so we have a content Airbnb up in the Green Bay area for Thursday and Friday night. And I was not initially put on the list. And Jen said, well, I would be the worst one to room with, which, in fairness, I don't really disagree with her because I am a lot.
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to disagree with the sentiment.
I don't. But you and Gabe then went on to say, yeah, I don't think I'd want to room with Strouf. So I had a little phone call this morning, Joshy.
Yeah.
Guess where I'm staying Thursday night?
Jeez.
And guess who I'm rooming with?
Not me.
I'm rooming with you.
Says who?
Our boss. Our boss told me that you and I are bunking up together. Little Mr. Irrelevant team bonding.
Here's the thing. I'm planning to bring an air mattress. So if a situation arises where it is either be stuck in a room with you or sleep in a living room by myself, I might take living room.
Yeah, but I got the couch then.
So you're just gonna tag along?
Oh yeah, I'm tied to your hip at the Airbnb Thursday night.
Strouf, you got to have Josh tell you a bedtime story, tuck you in.
Oh, dude, I bet Josh would actually be a great bedtime storyteller.
He's
do
a good
voices, storyteller.
Josh?
Yeah, you good at impressions?
I don't think I'm particularly any good at impressions.
Can you do
besides
British
my
for
Benson
us?
Boone voice?
Oh, Benson Boone, of course, the artist of These Beautiful Things That I Got. All right, Joshy, looking forward to our slumber party.
I got to be up earlier than you. I'm going to be, by the time Thursday night hits, have been awake and working. I get up at 4 a.m. and probably am not going to get to bed until after 10.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I mean, I guess enter at your own caution here because I can't imagine I'm going to be too pleasant of a person.
Are you a cranky morning guy? You cranky guy?
No, not at all. No.
Oh, no, I'm joyous in the morning, man. As you mentioned on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, I wake up singing every day, man.
But at night, I'm for sure going to be an unpleasant person as I'm trying to get ready to bed. Ready for bed.
This morning, I was just hollering, and I can call you Betty. And Betty, when you call me, you can call me out. 6:30 in the morning.
I wake up in a perfectly fine mood, but I think that would make me in a bad mood.
All right, back to business after this. Which Packers position group needs to take the biggest jump? 844-770-3776 or 800-990-3776. That is the Carbless Talking text line. Your way into the show on either of those. Adam on the text line. Stroufy, Joshy, one queen-size bed, the start of a beautiful friendship. Right, Joshy?
No.
Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN. Oh, we could snuggle. I bet you're a good snuggler. Mr. Irrelevant, ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week continues after this.
Mr. Irrelevant is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for Kohler Services. Well, if you think your shower is one of the ugliest in Wisconsin, upload a photo to goodkarmabrands.com/Wisconsin contest for a chance to win a free shower remodel. Yes, you heard me correctly. One lucky fan will win a free shower remodel from Kohler Services, including a design consultation, demolition, and removal of your existing shower or bath, and installation of a brand new Kohler Lugstone shower. goodkarmabrands.com/Wisconsin contest for your chance to win.
Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute brought to you by Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. Which Badgers could hear their name later this week? 3, says ESPN's Matt Miller during his time on Jim, Matt, and Molly, the draft analyst on who he sees going when.
Jack Nelson, I think, has a shot at the third round because the tackle class is not great after the first round. There's a drop-off. That could be really good news for him. I'm a Joe Huber fan. I think his versatility on the interior of the offensive line is going to be valuable. But I am a huge Hunter Wohler fan. I think any safety who hits like that, I'm going to be a fan of you. He has a shot, I would think, late third, early fourth round.
Replay this interview and much more on the new ESPN Wisconsin app.
Everyone is talking about the draft, but you won't feel one from high-quality Pella Windows. Get no-interest financing options or free glass upgrades today at PellaWI.com.
People travel the world to collect Hard Rock shirts, and Hard Rock Casino Rockford is going to give the people what they want. Get in on the action at Hard Rock Casino Rockford, where all new Unity card signups receive an official Hard Rock shirt, plus free play to kickstart a winning streak. Whether you're spinning the slots or playing the tables, you'll be dressed for success. Hard Rock Casino Rockford. Let's Hard Rock. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 833-234.
At Metro Ford of Madison, you pay what employees pay. Customers pay employee pricing on all in-stock new Ford vehicles. This month, drive away in the 2025 Ford Explorer with financing as low as 5.9% for 72 months. $16.53 cost per thousand borrowed. Or get the 2024 Ford Mach-E with financing as low as 0.9% for 72 months. $14.27 cost per thousand borrowed. Hurry! These offers end April 30th. Head to Metro Ford of Madison or visit MetroFordofMadison.com today.
It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 100.5 ESPN.
Lillard's going to tee up a three, and he splashes it through for the left wing.
Brought to you by Michelob Ultra, the official beer of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Without Damian Lillard for Game 1 of their playoff series against the Indiana Pacers, Giannis doing everything in his will to make sure the Bucks stayed on track.
Giannis drives inside. He got fouled, and he laid it in with a right-hand finger roll. He is a one-man wrecking crew right now for Milwaukee, and they have needed every bit of it, but the reality is they're going to need some help beyond Giannis now.
Unfortunately, though, Giannis' 36 points and 12 boards not enough as the Pacers win Game 1 117-98 behind 25 points from Pascal Siakam. Game 2 happens in Indianapolis on Tuesday night.
This has been your Milwaukee Basketball Report on Madison's home for Bucks basketball, 100.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Michelob Ultra.
Why is life better with American Family Insurance? Because every policy comes with something very special. A trusted agent who's there to help protect your dreams by finding the right coverage at the right price. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, Game 2.
Giannis down low, stuffs it down with a one-hand slam.
The Milwaukee Brewers, the San Francisco Giants.
Did he make the catch? He sure did!
Tonight on 100.5 ESPN.
If you'll be my bodyguard, I can be your long lost pal. I can call you Betty, Betty, when you call me, you can call me out.
Mr. Relevant ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. I'm Alex Strouf live from Green Bay, just outside of Lambeau Field. JOSHY DiMaggio back in Milwaukee. Hunter Vaughn, Tiny Hands back in Madison. Asking the question today, which position group needs to step up the most in 2025 for the Green Bay Packers to start competing for championships like their general manager asked for back in January? And plenty of responses rolling in, so we're going to get to those here on Mr. Relevant ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Joshy? Tim on the text line. Not thrilled with your performance. He said, come on, man, you guys are paid to talk about football. You crack yourselves up, but you're really not that funny.
Pound sand, bro.
Oh, come on. Tim's still hanging with us. You got to say that. Come on, Joshy. That's below the line. Tommy Boy chimes in and says, wide receivers. When first downs and touchdowns are dropped, whose stats look bad? Did Jordan Love really play that bad, or did he just have some terrible wideouts in 2024? Two things can be true, right? Like, I think the wide receivers didn't take the step that we were all expecting going into last season, and we're going into this season, at least as of now. Things could change Thursday or Friday if they bring in a wide receiver. But we're going in essentially with the same expectations minus the fact you don't have Christian Watson as an option at the beginning of the season. Obviously, he's dealing with a torn ACL, not expected back until sometime mid-season. So you have Jaden Reed, you have Dontavian Wicks, you have Romeo Doubs, and as we've established, hope is not necessarily a strategy. So you're kind of just fingers crossed hoping that somebody takes that next step in 2025 of those guys. But certainly certainly you're hoping, at least at this point, and maybe, again, things could change Thursday if they are to draft a wide receiver in the first round for the first time since 2002 with Javon Walker. Don in Mayville chimes in. Help me understand Goody World. What is the difference between a first-round pick and a lower-round pick? He seems to say it doesn't matter where a player is picked. They all take time to develop. If true, why don't you trade your first and second picks for 4 or 6 picks because you're better off? So it's an interesting point by Don. And the thing with Goody is, to your point, Don, is Brian Gutekunst has not been successful in the first round. Jaire Alexander in his first draft, 2018. Jordan Love in 2020. Maybe Rashawn Gary in 2019 if you want to consider him a win. But since then, he hasn't had very big wins in the first round. Eric Stokes had a good rookie year and wasn't very good after that, and obviously dealt with some injuries. Devontae White and Quay Walker haven't developed into the pieces that I think you hope that they would, and they just haven't, right? Quay Walker's had some good moments. Devontae Wyatt's had some good moments, but never full, great seasons for either of those guys. Lucas Van Ness, disappointing, and Jordan Morgan hasn't seen the field yet. I mean, those are Goody's first-round picks. And I didn't mention Darnell Savage back in 2019 as well, who obviously did not become the star safety that many were hoping for in the first round. He has had some really nice hits in the lower rounds, to Don and Mayville's point. Right? Think about the second, third, fourth round, what Goody's been able to do. I mean, he's developed some studs, or guys we think will become studs in those rounds. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, Evan Williams, Edrin Cooper. Right? He's made some really nice mid-round picks. But you want Don and Mayville saying, why not just acquire lower-round picks and get more bites at the apple in the middle round? Because you want the opportunity, which Goody has missed on in recent memory, at top-level talent. Right? Lucas Van Ness, at least now, through 2 years. Right, superstars. Or guys that could become superstars. And they do take time to develop. Not all great players are amazing in their first season in the NFL. But can they develop into that? Yeah, absolutely. And to Don's point, I don't know that you can just rely on Goody to make a great pick in round one, but you still want the opportunity at that higher level and higher evaluated talent. And this year with pick 23, you never know what you're going to get at pick 23. But pick 23 in last year's draft was a wide receiver by the name of Brian Thomas Jr., who was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He ended up being pretty good. He had a really good rookie season.
He's on track to be a superstar.
Yes, he is. Right? So, to that point, it's very possible at pick 23. Go ahead, Josh.
I can simplify everything you said there. Drafting a superstar or truly game-changing type of player outside of the first round is extremely unlikely. Drafting them after even the second round is effectively zero. Based on the amount of guys that get drafted over time, the true superstar level players, the game changers, getting drafted third round or later is so few and far between, you might as well not consider it a realistic option. It does happen, but it is so infrequent that it doesn't matter and it's not a viable plan.
Yeah, I hear you. We will see. I mean, you just never know. And we talked about it yesterday. I hate draft grades. I hate people that – and I get it. Everybody's craving draft content, and they're going to click on the articles to see what they're being evaluated as and how their favorite team did. But you can't grade a draft until several years after the fact. Looking back at 2020, overall it was a loss, but you got your win in the first round with Jordan Love. You locked up your quarterback. Everybody else is not on the roster anymore. 2021, same idea, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's hard. Just cleaning up some of the text on the Carbless Talking text line, 844-770-3776. Troy texts in. He says, hey, guys, great show. Please tell me the weather's going to be okay. Troy, I am by no means a meteorologist. I am the furthest thing from it, probably. I can just tell you right now it is cloudy and rainy, and it is likely going to be that all week. That's at least what people smarter than me are saying. So we will see for the draft here in Green Bay, which is just a little bit over 48 hours away. We are 2 days away from round 1 of the NFL draft, right behind me here in Green Bay. I'm probably about 300 yards away from the draft stage, but it is directly behind me through this building I'm sitting in. And I mean, things are coming together, and it's going to be a party no matter what. But yeah, it might not be the greatest weather of all time. So, yeah, I'm still at wide receivers, and it seems like that's a majority of the votes we have on the text line and on the YouTube chats, that wide receivers need to take the biggest step in 2025. And look, that should be concerning because, number one, obviously you know you're not going to have Christian Watson and his terrific vertical speed, at least for the first half of the season. So you only have 3 guys to rely on: Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and Romeo Doubs. Those are your 3 dudes that you have. And
Mecole Hardman.
Don't mention his name.
Mecole Hardman.
Who signed in the offseason, obviously, signed in free agency. He might not even make the roster, Hunter. And I imagine he will, but he might not. I mean, I'm not ruling it out. Never say never on that. But
I know. It's just funny that that's the only thing they've done to fix that room at all.
To your point, you didn't take a swing on Devontae. You didn't even call Devontae and see if he was interested in a reunion, which he openly had said he was open to once he was released by the New York Jets. You didn't look into, at least the reports sound like you didn't really take a lot of time to look into DK Metcalf, who was traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh and got a giant new contract. So it didn't make a ton of sense for the Packers. But you didn't look into any proven commodities this offseason at that position. So maybe Goody is higher on these guys than we are. And that's just how it is. I don't think that's the right strategy if you want to do the clip we've been playing all day, Hunter. If you want to do what Goody says you need to do beginning 2025.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Those guys need to take a big jump. This whole offense does. But maybe they do. But you went into last year with the same hope, right? These wide receivers are going to develop. They're going to be better. And it just hasn't happened. So we will see. One segment left. We will play a little What We Learned, presented by Door County Distillery, coming up next as we wrap up day 2 of ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, which is presented by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. And we will play a little What We Learned, coming up next, presented by Door County Distillery. And put a bow on this conversation on the position group. You can still get your final thoughts in on that. 844-770-3776. Which position group do you think needs to step up the most in 2025 in order for this team to do what Goody has asked for, and that is start competing for championships? More next. ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week. Mr. Relevant with you on ESPN Wisconsin, the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
More Mr. Irrelevant coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Zimbrick Honda has been a proud part of the Madison community since 1973, and they're your one-stop shop for over 250 new Hondas to choose from. Whether it's the sedan, SUV, or truck, their selection of new vehicles is second to none and has exactly what you're looking for. Stop in today at their location on Fish Hatchery Road and check out the all-new 2024 Honda Prologue, Honda's first all-electric SUV, or browse their selection online at ZimbrickHonda.com. That's ZimbrickHonda.com. Shop local. Shop Zimbrick Honda.
What's up, Wisconsin fans? Enjoying the game should always be easy, so don't overthink it. What to wear? Done. Just toss on your lucky jersey. Don't know what to serve your friends? Easy. Pick up some pizza from your go-to place and grab Bud Light to stock your fridge. See? It's that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly, 21 plus. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
My overall experience with Gruber Law Offices has been phenomenal.
The treatment was excellent.
They will be supportive of you. They will listen to you.
It was a great experience knowing that I had people to help me.
I know I could count on them to do what I needed to get done.
Experience with Gruber was great.
They gave me my life back.
It was amazing.
He gets results.
We know how to win. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Gruber Law Offices had my best interests at heart.
Starion Bank redefines local banking in Madison. As a community bank with a commitment to Dane County, experience a banking relationship where your goals are our priority. Enjoy competitive deposit and loan rates and a partnership that thrives on local engagement and support. Starion Bank is more than a full-service financial institution. It's a community pillar dedicated to your prosperity. Visit one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, or Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, offering banking, lending, mortgage, and cash management.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
I knew that we were going to be getting engaged soon and needed to do some ring shopping. Heard the radio ads of Chalmers and decided, hey, we should give it a shot at Chalmers.
They were just awesome at accepting us through the door and understanding what she wanted in terms of how she wanted it, and they delivered.
Everybody always is telling me how sparkly my ring is. They tell me that they really like the style of the ring and the setting that it's in. I am ecstatic with it.
Thank you, Chalmers.
Mark Tauscher here for Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Starting with the play-in round, every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes 2 ticket sweepstakes, which could get you a +1, a VIP trip to the ship. Download the app today and use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Thanks to VA, I have a place to call home with the VA Home Loan, an education with the GI Bill, the highest quality, most affordable healthcare, and the financial support I need to manage the disabilities that I have from my service. Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
You're listening to Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face.
Wrap it up, day 2, Mr. Irrelevant live from the draft. ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week presented by American Family Insurance. I'm Alex Strouf with you live from Green Bay every day this week from noon until 2 p.m. right here on ESPN Wisconsin, the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app, and, of course, on YouTube where you can watch our really good-looking video stream, by the way. Props to Hunter Vaughn back at the Everlight Solar Studio in Madison. He's got us looking clean for ESPN Wisconsin Draft Week, so kudos to him. Oh, boy, speaking of which, not producing the show very well with random audio. Hunter?
We've decided to I messed something up. We're good. We're good. I just should have read things before I started just pushing buttons.
You're hilarious. All right, JOSHY DiMaggio is back at the Gruber offices, One Call That's All Studio in downtown Milwaukee. And it is time for what we do at the end of every episode of Mr. Relevant. You learned something new today. We learned something new today. It's time now for What We Learned, which is presented by Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally just north of where I am in Door County. Carlsville is where Door County Distillery is located. Any spirits you need, they've got you covered. They're local, they're affordable, they're delicious, they're award-winning. They've got their famous Rock Island rum. They've got the lovely green bottle of gin, if that's what you need for your draft festivities coming up later this week. My personal favorite, their bourbon. They have the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey to mix up in your whiskey old fashions, or the cherry brandy infused with Door County local cherries for your brandy old fashions. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Find them near you or wherever local liquor is sold. All right, fellas. Believe it or not, I am a procrastinator.
No.
Okay? This comes as a shock to nobody, I assume. Right, Joshy?
No, not at all.
Now, I am standing up in a wedding this Sunday. Okay? This Sunday of draft weekend, I'm standing up in a wedding. And I had to order a suit for said wedding. So I ordered the suit. I got it probably 3 weeks ago now, maybe 4 weeks ago. I got the suit. When I tried on the suit, the pants were way too long. Meaning I needed to get them hemmed, right? I need to get the pants fitted, adjusted, tailored, however you want to phrase it. I have procrastinated getting these pants hemmed to the 11th hour. So the wedding is Sunday. I am in Green Bay until Saturday night. I obviously need to get the pants hemmed this week. So I remembered at the very last minute yesterday I needed to go. So there is a tailor up the street from where I am in Green Bay, and I called them at 5:30 last night. I said, "Hey, you guys open?" And the lady says, "Yes, we are open until 6 o'clock." I said, "Okay, great. I will be right there." So I went to the tailor location. I got in there. It was all business, man. She goes, "Hey, step over here." She closed the curtain so I could change into my pants. I reopened. I emerged from the corner. She comes over with a pin. She gets on her knee. She folds them up. She said, "This look good?" I said, "Yeah, it looks great." She goes, "You're not going to be wearing these Nike sneakers, though, are you?" I said, "No, I'm going to be wearing different shoes." She said, "I told you to bring the shoes." I said, "I don't have the shoes. They're in Milwaukee." Yada, yada, yada. Long story short, this business is near Lambeau Field, so it is closed the rest of the week. So my pants are getting done today. This is, by the way, first time I've ever been to a tailor. Tells you how inexperienced I am with tailors. And so
you're gonna look dumb, Strouf.
Ben Bruss joins us now. Yeah, I mean, likely. I'm not very much a suit guy. You would agree, Benny, right?
No, you're not a suit guy, and your body is made up of like long limbs and long
Gumby-ish.
legs. Like they're gonna have to
Flat Stanley.
They're gonna have to tighten everything so it fits around your arm like a normal person. Because
I only got the pants. I didn't even get the suit coat done. Just the pants.
Oh, you're gonna be swimming in that suit coat.
No, I wore that analysis.
You're
I
gonna
didn't think it
fit
looked too bad.
your girlfriend inside. You guys could be inside the coat together.
Well, I mean,
So what did you learn?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that too. I was trying to figure out, did he learn that his body is a weird figure? Like, what did you learn other than the place is closed on Sundays and on the weekend? Go figure.
It's closed. It's closed Wednesday through Sunday, so they had to get it done today. I learned that procrastination is bad, Ben, and maybe I'll change my ways. But this was a bad idea by me, and I figured JOSHY would have some follow-up questions on how the tailor experience went. But it seems like he's just flabbergasted at my stupidity per usual.
Why you wouldn't go to the next town over to seek help with the tailor to me is confounding. Why you would have them in Green Bay, it's such bad planning. It's the amount where I'm mad that they helped you out. You should have been stuck
I'm
with
shocked
too long
she
of
did.
pants.
I mean,
Josh, would you also agree that planning to get it hemmed in Green Bay when you have a bajillion options as somebody who lives in downtown Milwaukee is a wild plan as well?
I know for a fact there is a tailor within walking distance of where you and I sit right now.
Oh, I called them on Saturday afternoon. They're like, "Hey, we close in 30 minutes. What are you doing?"
Yeah, of course.
Wait.
And then I was leaving town on Sunday, so I had to get it done in Green Bay.
How did you not have the shoes with you if you had the pants? Because you're not coming back to Milwaukee.
Good question. I am coming back to Milwaukee Saturday night. My shoes are being delivered, I think, today. To Milwaukee, but I wasn't going to be able to obviously get to Milwaukee and back with the shoes because they closed at 6. So it's a disaster is the long story short.
Please send me a picture of what you look like before you go to this wedding.
I hope so bad.
Yeah, I got you.
Some floods on. Just
he's going to be swimming.
No, I'll look good, boys. I'm a handsome guy. I'll be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I love the old "I'm a handsome guy," convincing yourself that you know you're not going to look handsome, so you're trying to be confident about your bad outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody on ESPN Wisconsin's airwaves have called themselves handsome more than he has.
Oh, that's accurate. But I think I'm pretty. So, I mean, of course.
Are you handsome or are you pretty? Those are two different distinctions.
I think you can be both.
I'm sitting directly across from what many people would call the most vain person, and I've never heard him say, "I'm handsome," and you say it once a month.
Ben, say it. Ben, say it.
No, I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to buck the trend here. Josh spent 6 years with me. I say a lot of things about myself, but I'm never like, "Oh man, am I good looking?" You're literally you're anchor man. Like I'm ridiculous. You're Zoolander. I'm ridiculously good looking. Like slow down, man. Like if you need to convince yourself that much, like don't you have a girlfriend to validate if you're good looking or not?
Oh, and she will. I will get a text in moments that she'll validate this. Now I will say this.
It's a pity. Oh, honey, I love you. You're so good looking.
I have definitely self-assessed handsome more than anybody else on these airwaves. However, I have not been called handsome the most on these airwaves. That title belongs to Stephen Watson of On the Tee.
Well, yeah. Ben and Greg told him that every time.
Yeah, I made Stephen Watson as uncomfortable as possible every time he walked in the studio after our old show to do On the Tee on ESPN Milwaukee. And I'd be like, damn, you look really, really good, Stephen. And like wink
Ben
at him and
Brust.
try and make him uncomfortable.
Ben Brust, the uncomfortable one. Ben Brust, Brad Nortman, Kyle Wallace are coming up next with Kyle Brust and Nortman.
Wait, so
Benny,
what did
10
you learn?
seconds.
No. What did you learn in 10 seconds?
Procrastination is bad, which I also did for Kyle Brust and Nortman.
And everyone listening already knew that. Woohoo!
So nobody learned anything. But what you did learn is that we're back with you tomorrow, I think, as long as I don't get fired in the next 24 hours, 12 to 2 p.m. Kyle Brust and Nortman is coming up next right here on ESPN Wisconsin and the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill.